Prepare to attack the enemy's control points.
Get behind me, Doctor!
I am fully charged!
You are listening to Control Point, a Team Fortress 2 podcast with Brent Copeland, Eric Fullerton, Wes Wilson, and Spencer Williams.
Control Point, Episode 3, recorded on November 6, 2007.
I'm Brent Copeland.
I'm Eric Fullerton.
I'm Wes Wilson.
I'm Spencer Williams.
And welcome to Control Point.
Episode 3 in the hisness.
Yeah.
You said that.
Yeah, I did.
Do you even know what that means?
No, I do not. But I do know what we have in the store for the listeners. In the briefcase, we have, let's see, this week we're going to be talking about the engineer in our dossier segment. Also, we got a call from Rob from Witty Wizard, and he informs us of a tip that we forgot about last week involving the medic. And I'm not real sure if we got to that or not. Anyway, we'll get to that. And also a speed breakdown for all the classes, and a upcoming TF2 update, and lots of cool new Halloween costume picks.
We know Halloween's over, but they're still cool.
Yes.
I wanted to make a Halloween costume from Team Fortress.
Yeah, because you really don't need Halloween to dress up like a Team Fortress character.
Yeah,
you can go to work as a heavy Weps.
I'm going to Thanksgiving dinner dressed as the heavy.
I'm going to leave Thanksgiving dinner dressed as the heavy.
Yeah.
I was going to do a medic costume. I really was. And I was going to break my hedge trimmers, because they have that little bracket around the top. I was going to break my hedge trimmers, and I was going to make a medic gun. And I just, but I've got a 7-month-old, so all my dreams and hopes are smashed.
I was actually going to just run around my neighborhood flaming kids with a flamethrower.
Nice. I didn't have time to dress up. I was too busy putting stuff out, but my son dressed up as Luigi.
Fabulous.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, except for now he wants to go to school with the cap on his head. And I'm like, son, I got to tell you about this L thing on the head. It doesn't play too well.
My son was a dragon. It was very scary. Yes. Okay, so Brent, what did you do this week in Team Fortress?
What didn't I do this week in Team Fortress? Well, I played maps. I killed people. I died a lot. I did not play Duel 2.
I did not either. I avoided that map.
Yeah. And besides that, I've been playing a lot of medic for some reason. I was going to play engineer more, but it's already my highest anyway. So I was like, well, I've mastered that as much as any of the other classes I've played. So I will go back to medic because no one else is playing medic.
Isn't that weird?
It is, because sometimes there's like 5 medics and then other times there's none.
I actually had a real situation come up this week. I was playing one night, and I talked last week about how I was trying to always make sure what was being played and adapt my game according to what I thought would be important for the group. Well, I would go, oh my gosh, we don't have any engineers. I need to make an engineer. And so I'd start playing, and I'd get some stuff built. So I had some emotional investment in that particular character at that particular time. And then all of a sudden I'd look again and there'd be 4 engineers, and there's 6 people on the team. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, okay, well, we need this. And then I'd turn around and there'd be no medic. And I go, okay, well, I need to make a medic. So then I'd make them. And then all of a sudden there'd be 4 medics. I'm like, what is going on?
There's no communication. If you got your mic working, then maybe that wouldn't be a problem.
I hate you.
I'm just saying,
Well, for the most part, I'm just one of those people. I do not like using my mic with strangers. Like if it,
That's the best kind of mic using right there.
Just make sure you got like a pop screen or something for protection.
Well, no, I just, for some reason, I just really don't have that much desire to, chat it up with strangers on the microphone. The only thing it would be good for with me is doing what Spencer loves, and that's going spy at this location with this disguise.
Right.
And I guess I don't understand why you think that it's chatting someone up to say, we have too many medics. I mean, it's not like you're saying we have too many medics and would you like to have a drink later? That's not what you're doing.
But hey, that might work.
Well, I mean, I can type it. I can type it just as easily. I am a very fast typist, and I can take care of that. And I go,
The typewriter.
But then you run into this problem where anybody who's on the mic isn't reading.
yeah,
It's a
but
bad habit. Well, at least I'm going from my own.
I try to read, but I have to admit that I just don't see a whole lot of typing in it because the mic is so easy to use, Wes, that most people use the mic. Now, I will say that every once in a while I get really, really surprised when I shoot Wes with a rocket launcher, and all of a sudden I see at the bottom of the screen, "I hate you, devil turnip."
See, I usually see mighty fine shot, sir.
I do say, but I try to, when I'm dead, I'll type a message. That's usually the way it goes. I'll say something funny, or I'll, comment to something because I've got, 10 to 15 seconds to sit there and do nothing.
Actually brings up a great tip. And I don't know if many people know this, but when you're dead, no one can hear you and no one can see what you're typing.
Except for the
other dead people.
Yeah. So if you're alive, only live
They
people.
can't see what you're typing?
Nope.
Correct.
Nothing.
Voice and text only
They don't
apply
want
to
you
other
giving away because you're now kind of spectator, right? And you can see that spy behind so and so.
You can now keep your eye, like say if you're killed, that's a necessary prerequisite for this conversation. You're killed, and then you're following around some guy that's playing a demo guy, and you can swivel your camera around to behind him and see the spy sneaking up on him. So you can't yell, "Spy, spy, there's a spy behind you, Mr. Demo Man," and you can't type it in. You just...
Well, that really hurts my feelings. I've typed a lot of very positive messages to a lot of people, and no one's heard anything that I've typed.
Hey, all the other dead people are right there with you.
Yeah.
Going, that guy blew me up too.
I feel
We all died in that slash. But there is a good point to bring with that, even though there's a lot of people who are probably upset that they were chatting up people that couldn't hear.
Chatting up.
If you think you're about to die and you have that flag, holler before you die, because it's going to take you sometimes up to 20 seconds to actually be able to tell people where the briefcase is.
Yes.
that explains why no one ever hears me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and what does everybody think? Why isn't anyone going for the briefcase? And they're thinking, why won't they tell me where the briefcase is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. That sort of.
So
Did you do anything else this week, Brent?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I played a few maps, a new ones. There was a sniper one we played, Eric. Do you remember the name?
Oh, God.
it had sniper in the name, but it was very
It was
very
horrid.
amusing. Though.
Oh, it was pretty
Yeah.
funny. I was in that one too.
And there's two maps that we played like back to back on this server that you could enter the opposing team's respawn room, which is very lame.
And you could put a sentry in there.
Yeah. When you spawn in and there's a sentry gun, an engineer, and a heavy weapons, your only mission is to go spy and hide fast enough to get out of the respawn room and then sneak around and try to stab him in the back later on.
Yeah. Very
Wow.
difficult. It's so fun for like 10 minutes, especially if you're the one with the sentry and the opposing team's resupply room.
And then the final thing.
Well, the sniper map, I actually thought that was kind of funny. It's a sniper map, and basically it's two sniper nests across from each other and a big chasm in the middle. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll take this time to, practice my sniper. And it was really a bloodbath for the most part.
Yeah.
And-
Well, this is a different sniper map.
Oh, really?
Just so they're not confused, because you can't even cross in that one.
No,
So
yeah,
don't gotta
and
worry
that's what
about
I was going to
people.
say. Is I got frustrated. I don't think I told you about this, Spencer.
Okay.
There was a chasm in the middle, so I'm like, well, I can double jump across that with a scout. So I get my scout and I go running out there and I do my jump, and then I hit an invisible wall and I go, ah!
Did you try to crouch jump?
No.
See, half the fun in that map is watching the new people log in and try to get across the chasm. It's like a demo man. No.
I really feel
Maybe with a soldier.
It should be obvious. I mean, in
Well,
my opinion.
Well, I think maybe sniper _2 or whatever it is
Yeah.
pretty good.
I think it's sniper.
I think
with
a
Z.
lot of the custom maps that we're seeing now are, some of them are pretty good, but most of them are proof of concept of some kind.
Yeah,
at
that
this
is
point.
true. And that's why a lot of them, if they've got a low number, you might want to wait for a higher version.
Yes.
And so then, speaking of maps and trying out new maps, we have started our own server,
Yes.
which we put up today. And you can find more info at tf2.deadworkers.com. It is a private server, but the password is private, the word private, and it's all on the front page. So log in and have fun. We're going to be trying to get map rotation of maybe some cool maps we like. Maybe we'll start picking a map that we play as the extra map for the week or something like that.
Maybe we'll even do some announcements in the Steam community to say, hey, we're going to go and get on the server at 8 o'clock on this particular night.
Yeah. Did you guys notice that we have like 16 people in our Steam group already?
It's growing. And if you're not in it yet, you need to head over and join it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's about it. And I guess you'll be able to log in and see some maps one day, maybe even Fort Nailhead.
Oh, yeah. We'll be testing our own maps. And also, if you have a map that you want tested or anything, just send us a map. We'll throw it up there and play around with it. If you need some lab rats or whatever to check out your stuff.
Yeah.
And it's 20-person max right now, right?
Right.
10 on 10. It may grow if we need it. 10 or 20 people seems fine for now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Okay, so my status report this week, other than owning noobs, I've been and being owned by noobs. I've been playing lots and lots of Spy. Now Spy is the second on my most played list. I just love the Spy. And let's see. Oh, one night we had 7 people. 7 real friends playing all at once, and it was really cool. It was the most people I've ever had.
Oh, only one more for the achievement.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
What,
and that was,
all together in the same server? Or?
Yeah, all together.
Cool.
And that was really cool. I recruited 2 new friends this weekend, or 3 new friends this weekend, and they just got the game. And
I just talked with Bonkers before the podcast. He says he's going to get it.
Oh, good. Okay, so yeah, we're just recruiting like crazy. And also... this week it was a pretty fun match. Everybody on the same team decided to play one class, except for we would have one engineer, because we need teleports and stuff. So the first one, everybody played Pyro, except for one engineer, and it was a 10 on 10, and it was so fun. And then after that round, everybody played Demo Man, and then after that, everybody played engineer, and that's when it got old, and that's when it didn't work any longer. We're like, no, I don't think this works, and all of a sudden people started being like, snipers and spies and stuff, and that's when it kind of broke the little tradition there. But that was a lot of fun.
So was that last night when we started off Scout to do the Scout Rush?
Oh, God.
Yeah, we all started as Scout, yeah.
8 Scouts, and we owned...
The first time you totally just dominated the level. And then after that, they're like, they're going to be all scouts, and they slaughtered you.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, hey, wow, we died with a bunch they kept spawning more scouts. And I'm being engineer, because I spent my whole week trying to perfect this stupid class. And, and I'm sitting there trying to get stuff built, so that these people can get to the front lines. And no, and I'm like, come on, guys. And we just kept falling back. Yeah. And finally, I'm at the end. I'm walking out, and I'm trying to build a sentry with nothing. So yeah, that was granary.
There's nothing wrong with a Scout Rush every once in a while. I think you're unfairly biased against Scout Rushes.
Exactly, but you do the Scout Rush initially. And then
everyone goes Spy.
That's what I wanted to do.
Spy as a Scout, yeah.
You're like, where's the other team? And man, where did we get all these people?
And look, those guys have the same name.
Look, that one stabbed me in the back.
Hey, there's a little Machinima idea, doppelganger.
Dun, dun, dun.
So what else did you do?
Let's see. I guess the last notable thing is I've been spraying our control point ad all over the place, which is neat. I find it annoying that if I spray something, most times someone will come along and spray over mine. I don't know why that is.
I don't either.
But
so you go up and read it?
I guess.
Who's this jackass who put their stuff
Why
on
are
mine?
you spraying in my house? It's my house. Spraying in my house.
Well, when we were playing with Dust Bowl and had the 7 people, like 5 of us had sprays. And so like all of a sudden it looked like it was a control point map because there was control point sprays like on either side of each door, you know, coming in the spawn area on the floor next to the control point.
Speaking of, we did switch our tag from the old tag to CP now. So
Yeah. I even put it on mine.
Nice.
Excellent work.
I only did it after I noticed all of you guys had done it. So
Yeah, and it used to be DWP, and it didn't really make any sense, you know. So we're like, what are we doing? How about CP? It's shorter and cleaner now looking anyway. So anyway, that's it for me. Any cool stuff, Wes, this week?
Okay. Well, since I knew we were going to be doing engineer in the dossier segment this week, I tried to really get my engineer all going. And he was my number 3 class, and now he's my number 2 class for time-wise. But I got really, really frustrated. Because one of the things I was trying to do is, since we've been doing these dossier segments, I try to focus on the class and pay attention to it. And I figured that running, when the going gets tough, is not the way to handle learning. So when things got rough, I would stay, you know, and I just developed a hatred for the engineer class. I really did.
Such a shame.
I mean, don't get me wrong, in the right gear, like I was playing in one map and I couldn't get anybody to protect anything. And a spy would run through, sap everything I had, and people were not, you know, the engineer says, "Spies sapping my blank." And as soon as you hear that, you turn around and you look for the sparks and you shoot the guy who's sapping the stuff.
Yeah.
Or you shoot everyone.
And I just could not get anyone to bite, and my stuff was falling. And, you know, playing the engineer and having no one help you is like, you know, going to a football game and being in the game and having 12 pieces of luggage that you're trying to drag down the field with the football, you know, and no one was helping. And then, of course, you know, shortly after I got all, you know, angry and grumpy, I got in one map and where the people who were leading were actually like saying, "Okay, we've got this area secured. Engineer, come up here, do this." And I'd be like, "Okay." And then they'd protect me. They'd protect me while I built stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I've got stuff built and they're protecting it. And this is great. So that, a lot of my week was engineer frustration.
Spies sapping my sandwich.
I did see a spray that said "Spies sapping my sandwich," which killed me.
You know, I do think, and we'll get more into this later, but oh man, what was I going to say?
Was it the teamwork thing?
Completely forgot. No, that's what I was going to say. I think people tend to think of the engineer as being a solo class, and it's really not.
No, it's not. Spencer and I spent a lot of time last night on one map. We made dual engineers.
Mm-hmm. We were on 2 Fort.
And we set up near each other, and you know, like one of us could even go out and build teleporters to the other side, and one person would guard all the structures, and it worked really, really well. We did very well. We got a lot of kills. So, and then the other thing I did this week, since Demo Man is still my number 1, is I practiced sticky jumping, and I've been working on trying to get, you know, my timing right, especially like trying to get up onto that second floor through the hole in 2 Fort. Mm-hmm. That's hard.
Oh.
With a soldier, it's one thing.
Soldier, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do with a soldier, not with a Demo Man. What's that all about?
Well, I was trying it with the Demo Man, and I kept bonking my head, and it was not any fun. And on another note, I'm completely sick of 2 Fort.
Oh,
I'm sick of it.
You know,
it's in everybody's rotation.
It was my favorite map 9 years ago. It really was. But, it's starting to wear a little thin.
Well, and I think a lot of these maps, there's 6 standard maps, 5-6 standard maps. It's like they're going to get old unless we start getting more maps out there.
Yeah.
Or SDK.
But I think another thing is, or start playing them in a clan match environment, like where you're actually a team and doing team things.
More cohesive.
Yeah, and it's just much more fun. Like when we used to, have clan matches back in the day in Team Fortress 1, it was that made the game right there. And so I can't wait till we get doing that more.
Okay, so that's my week. What about you, Spencer?
Well, a lot of my week involved technical issues and overcoming technical issues. Pretty much as soon as we got done recording last Tuesday, I went home and Brent went home and we played together for a little while. And I was having this terrible mouse issue. I like to use my thumb button on my mouse for my voice communication. Just click it. I don't have to move my other hand anywhere. I just click it and I can talk. I started having this problem where every time I clicked that button to talk, my mouse sensitivity dropped so low that I was basically a rocket. I could move forward as fast as I wanted, but I couldn't turn. So I kept having to quit and adjust. And I finally figured out it was my mouse software. Logitech was doing some sort of weird game detection. And it was, I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish other than screwing with my game. So I disabled that and that worked. And then, let's see, last night, you all were playing on this one server, and I was like, awesome, they're all playing. I'm going to join that server, and I'm going to play it. So I joined the server, and I said, I'm going to play a pyro. And I grabbed the pyro, and I run up, and it's this cool custom map with, like, little places to hide and stuff like that all over the place. And I'm jumping out and, roasting people and having fun. And I just get done with, like, 4 kills in a row, and then I get disconnected. It says, your ping is too high. Your ping is over 175. I'm like, what? I just killed 4 people. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that was just a little temporary thing. So I joined back in. 5 minutes later, I get disconnected. And 5 minutes later, I get disconnected. And so I just quit that server. And
I actually was put in charge of finding us another server.
You were?
Yes. And so I went and
you did a terrible job.
Well, that's just it. I thought you went and got in a game. So I joined you.
No.
Okay. And you hadn't moved. And so I had told all them to follow me. And they're like, oh, cool. We're staying on this server. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yes.
And I kind of didn't want to move because I had just gotten one of my friends the game, and that was his first time ever playing.
Yes.
So it was enough for him to already join one server, and I didn't want to explain to him how to hop around and stuff.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So.
So other than the technical issues I had, I mentioned last week that I had never played a single custom map. And this week I remedied that. I started joining games with custom maps all the time, and
Duel 2?
I found Duel 2. I did play it. I had more fun with it than I imagined.
It's fun for a while.
But the real news is I found Duel 1.
No way.
I did. I found Duel 1 and I joined it, and there was no one playing it, thank God. It's exactly like Duel 2. Except Duel 2, the spawn zones have opening and closing doors to prevent people from just shooting in all of the time. Duel 1 does not have opening and closing doors. It just has a big open area.
So once they got 12 versus 12, they realized the little game flaw.
Yeah.
Didn't we joke last week about Duel 1 not having doors?
We did.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. I found a series of games called series of maps called the X Games maps, and they're all varying quality. I just kind of thought that was sort of interesting. They seem to be built around interesting ways of moving across the map, and I thought that was kind of cool. In practice, they're just sniper fests, like so many CTF games are. And then I found this one. I don't remember what it was called, but it's the first time I've ever joined a map and it be so obviously unfinished and yet still have a full server of people playing on it.
Oh, man.
It was, I don't remember what it was called. It was huge open spaces and there were no textures on anything. Everything just had the orange valve texture on it. And so everything was orange, and yet people were still playing it, and I couldn't figure out why, because it wasn't that much fun. But
did it have alpha in the name?
It might have. I don't.
I try to stay away from alpha maps.
I thought
of that missing textures and stuff.
Thought it might be worth checking out. So yeah, I'm going to keep trying custom maps, and really I kind of hope that we can find a different custom map every week to talk about. But if there are that many out there are actually a lot of them out there. If there are that many that are good to talk about. I did spend a lot of time playing Engineer this week as well. And what I focused on, rather, because Engineer is already my top class in terms of time, I tried to focus on playing it in new ways. I tried to figure out ways to play an offensive Engineer, and it only works occasionally. Last night, Wes and I were playing on Well, and he doesn't remember this somehow, but I do very clearly. The first round of Well, we get completely steamrolled. Like, they cap the first point in like 10 seconds, the second cap in like 20 seconds. We held them off for like 3 minutes on the third one, but they just completely steamrolled over us. And usually when that happens, I always expect it to keep happening.
Yeah.
You get bullied around one round, you expect to get bullied around the next round. But the exact opposite happened. We just steamrolled over them. And it got to the point where, as an engineer, I had set up on their last capture point a turret right outside the exit from their capture point, so they couldn't go anywhere. And basically, that was our starting point for all of our attacks, was where that turret was. So what I figured out was a turret can be very useful in dictating where a front is. I thought that was kind of cool.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to be a good offensive engineer. I got very, very frustrated with the shotgun.
You're not doing it right.
Anyway, another thing I really worked hard this week trying to do was plop down convenient dispensers and try to get a sentry down on a point that is going to be contested shortly. Like, we've just captured it. Let's get a sentry down, because there's going to be a wave of incoming as soon as the respawns hit. Mm-hmm. And I was not good at that. I tried. I failed.
And we'll talk more about the Engineer later on here.
Okay, well, that was our week.
That's all I had to say.
And I guess now we can talk about on the loudspeaker, some news and discussion. We got a little, I guess it could be considered a correction. In the speed issue, we were debating over the medic or the pyro being the second fastest, and we found a list of all the classes and their speeds, and we were half right. The medic is the second fastest. The scout, of course, is the fastest at 133% speed movement, with the medic coming in second at 107. And then you've split it up with the pyro, the engineer, the sniper, and the spy, all running at 100%.
So the pyro tied for third.
Right. That's correct. And then after that, we have the demo man at 93%, the soldier at 80%, and the heavy weps at 77%, and 27% when they're full bore.
You know what we don't have on this list that I'd like to see? The speed of a sniper when he's zoomed in.
Oh, yeah. That is kind of interesting.
That's true. And also the spy when he's a scout, and the spy when he's a soldier or a heavy.
Yeah, I don't know if his speed changes.
It definitely does. I mean, you can tell that it does. I just don't know how much. He's not actually, I don't think he's actually as slow as a heavy when disguised, but he's definitely slower.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but that's the chart. That's a pretty good chart there.
Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson for us and probably for people listening is we're going to be wrong every once in a while. Just be prepared.
We didn't make this
because we're not prepared at all.
And what we would love is when we are wrong for you to call in and let us know.
Yeah,
because we would love to get you on the air, we will have in just a little bit.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we've got here is there was a patch on October 31st, a whole bunch of crashes and, your standard crash bug fixes and stuff like that. There are really only two that affect the gameplay at all. The first fix is that the medic's gun, no longer continues to heal enemy spies who have lost their disguise.
And I've seen that, yeah.
Which
That's gotta suck.
I think that is so funny.
Yeah.
I expressed my frustration last week.
The second one is that they added anti-bunny hopping code, which is very important. I know Wes and I were talking about this, and he didn't really know what bunny hopping was. Bunny hopping is not jumping up and down. That's perfectly okay, and that's still in there. Bunny hopping is an exploit where by jumping and turning and facing the ground, I know it's very complicated. I've never managed to do it when trying it. You trick the system into thinking you're falling. And so your speed continues to go up and up and up. So you're just zooming around. And that's what bunny hopping is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So they added anti-bunny hopping code, which is great because anyone that played Counter-Strike a lot knows how much bunny hopping sucks.
The last thing we want to talk about, and I need to put a little disclaimer at the beginning of this. First off, we do not sanction any kind of hacks or exploits. We are purists. We want to play the game for the level, for the game itself. We are not interested in finding ways to cheat the game.
Right.
Now, that does not mean that we aren't interested in doing cool things. Like, I mean, I know that, when I've logged on to a server all by myself, doing my Demo Man Solus experience, I will try to see what kind of cool and neat places I will get to. However, I was playing in a gravel pit game yesterday. And it was a 32-person game, and it was one of those, they had it set up so that when you're dead, you can cycle through all the players.
Yeah.
I saw people on my team and the other team building sentry guns underground. On the level just below the surface, and they were putting sentry guns down that I'm assuming were able to attack through the ground, and were not able to be targeted from above the ground.
The clipping plane on the ground only works one way. So.
And I've actually seen a video of this. I've seen some other getting under the ground issues where you could get underneath water, and you jump up, and it's like you just jump right out of the water, and you come out of nowhere. I mean, it's a puddle on the ground, and all of a sudden a full-size character jumps out of it.
Hey, so lucky.
Look, it's a prize.
Watch me pull a medic out of my hat.
So after seeing this, I actually left the server. I mean, I hate to sound like but I was having my bad engineer week anyway. So, I was the grumpy old man, you kids get off of my lawn. But anyway, I was a little curious. He explained how to do it, but I was not paying attention. And then afterwards, I'm like, how did he do that? And so I went and looked online, and I couldn't.
It's time to do my homework. I wish I'd paid attention in class.
Exactly. But I couldn't find any links to that particular style of hack. Now, from what the other players at that point in time were saying is that he had reported it already, and that he had told everybody in the game how to do it, which, doesn't seem quite as bad, but still it was ruining my play of the game because I was not interested in fighting sentry guns underground. So I started looking at what hacks were around and what people were doing. And I found mostly what I found were exploits. For instance, there are engineer exploits where you jump and build a teleporter where you couldn't normally jump. You jump up, the teleporter, you're scheduled to build the teleporter exit, and you put it someplace that you wouldn't be able to get under normal movement. That I consider more of a map exploit than a game exploit.
I don't even consider that to be an exploit. To me, an exploit is something that is utilizing a rule of the game that is not meant to be there in some way. And you put up a video of that engineer exploit, and the way he was doing it was he was jumping up on top of his dispenser and letting it raise him up. That's something that we talked about last week as a tip. I wouldn't call that an exploit.
I agree for the most part, but at the same time, I don't know any other way to define how using something. I mean,
well, it's to me that's on the same level as using sticky bombs to jump.
Yeah,
it's almost you're using something you have to get you to an area that other classes might not be able to get to, and they have walkways up there. There's paths up there, so it's they've got it either for demo man or soldiers So, why not engineer?
Agreed. And I'm not necessarily saying those things need to be repaired, but I don't know any other way to call it. It seems like an exploit when you first see it. And when you see it on the websites, they say, "Oh, look at this exploit."
Well, that's all semantics. But to me, you've got another one on the list here, which is critical melee attacks. And I watched the video, and I know you said you tried it and you couldn't get to work.
Right.
But basically, it's a method, I'm not going to say how to do it, to basically charge up a melee attack. So your next melee attack will be critical damage and isn't automatically a one-hit kill. That's an exploit. That's a very clear line in the sand between using the engineer's tools to get up to a higher point versus
sitting back in the respawn room till you get this ready.
Yeah. And doing this one particular thing that was clearly not meant to be done by the designers and getting an effect out of it.
Right.
Well,
that's an exploit.
Now, I like this discussion because now move that to the metagun. Did they mean for you to be able to switch off the metagun and save that uber charge?
I don't know.
I mean, that's a tactic I use every time I play it now.
Yeah,
because it is so effective.
I don't know. I imagine that if they did not mean for you to be able to do that, we'll find out very soon.
Exactly. And that's why I'd like people to know these things that, A, they exist. And I don't mind telling them how to do it just because I think the more people that do it, the faster it'll get fixed. But I would actually like to hear from the listeners. Let us know. Do you want us to let this kind of information out?
Yeah, we were hesitant to even talk about this because we're not interested in promoting things that will make the game less fun.
Yeah, really. I mean, there are so many games that I've played that the exploits have basically ruined it for everyone that just wanted to play the game.
EverQuest?
No,
I don't know if I
there
count
were
EverQuest,
but they would patch them and they would fix it. And that's the key. Long as Valve, if it's an exploit, long as they come along and patch it, then everything's good.
But who remembers in Diablo 2 getting killed in the town?
Oh God, yeah.
That's an exploit right there. And that's the kind of thing that ruins a game for people that aren't interested in that kind of advantage.
Yeah, or like one of the old guys we used to be. It's kind of a crossover because we used to be in a clan together, but then he played EverQuest, and this guy could find exploits that were just insane. He found out in EverQuest that if you charmed an animal and then sicked it onto another PC near an NPC, those NPCs would attack that person. So he would send basically a whole town of guards onto some guy who's just standing there doing nothing by charming a rat.
No. I think we should say that we don't expect all of you to go and start playing EverQuest and using that.
And the other thing is an exploit or a cheat is interesting as an iconic example of how to get around things. It's kind of like the first time you saw the Dopefish video. You saw it and you knew it was map hacks and motion hacks and everything about it in World of Warcraft, but it was so fascinating to watch. It's like, how did he do that? How did he do that? And that kind of stuff is interesting and fun. And I actually enjoy testing the limits of a game, to see what can we get away with here? But that doesn't mean I want the game played that way.
Right.
That's a different story.
You can go try all the stuff on, you can create a server in your own client. So there's no reason to go mess up someone else's fun game with your crap.
Now, the absolute worst thing that you've got on this list here, the one that is absolutely inexcusable and I hate, is a wall hack, basically. And what it is someone has replaced models in the game, or the textures, I'm not sure which, with textures that he can see through walls. And there's this video on YouTube that shows him going around and killing people behind walls. And it's a bunch of crap. And
it is. And basically what it's like you've got heat vision glasses on and you can see right through buildings and you can see other people.
Yeah. And the critical melee attack that we talked about earlier, that at least, I'm kind of proud of them for figuring that out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But this is just people cheating.
Let me describe. I'm going to go through the list of what I found just so that you know what we found that was available. Okay. First off, there's the critical melee attack. Okay. Basically what happens is there's a way to store up an attack. Okay. And, when you release that attack, you will have the ability to make another attack. And these are just melee attacks, another attack immediately afterwards. So it's like bam, bam, like a double punch. But when you're storing up the attack, you can wait for the little sparkly sound. So
The little lightning strike sound.
Yeah, and so basically you can get a critical hit, and you know the next time you punch somebody, you're going to get a critical hit, and I don't get in enough melee to really worry about it. The real issue comes from Spies.
It doesn't even come from Spies, because Spies already have a one-hit kill, so long as they hit you from the right direction.
Yeah.
Heavies don't have a one-hit punch kill. They don't, and they should not. Engineers don't have a one-hit kill, and they should not.
Right.
That's the Spies I don't really see as being a big problem, because they really can't afford to store up a critical melee attack anyway, because they're going to be melee attacking a lot.
Right. The second one was the under map. Basically, a lot of these maps have a secondary walking level just below the surface. And like I said, I saw people setting up sentry guns in there. Not, for the most part, it's just one of those things. And if you can get down there, you can attack them. But I wasn't all that impressed. There used to be a medic exploit, and it supposedly has been fixed, where you heal someone and then you disconnect. This happened to me once. While the computer is handling the disconnect. No, really, I was in a game one time and I'm like, why am I at full health? I don't have a healer near me. I got all the pluses coming up all around me. And what it was I had a medic healing me and then he disconnected. And the healing ray stayed on me for about 45 seconds. If he had Ubered me, I would have stayed Ubered for that entire 45 seconds. Now, supposedly they fixed that. Another one they've also fixed is there used to be a heavy weapons guy exploit where if you went and shot your gun and emptied all the bullets and you kept shooting.
You kept the barrel going with the right mouse button.
Right. Now, when you're all out of bullets, you run it at fast speed as a heavy. So what you could do is you could keep the barrel spinning, run back to your spawn point, get more bullets, and then come out and still be moving at the fast heavy speed, even with your barrel turning.
Nice.
But they fixed that one. There's the wall exploit that we talked about. It's kind of like you got heat vision. You can see through walls. This is one they're going to have to fix. If they don't, it could be a real issue.
Now, the way that they did that was with custom textures, and personally, I see no reason why there should be custom textures in Team Fortress 2.
No, that seems like something that would have been detected through the VAC stuff when it checks your files against the servers. Because that's when we used to play in Team Fortress 1, that was a big hack that people used.
Yeah.
And we actually got screwed in a clan match because some guy who was on our clan team, and it was some guy actually that we didn't know locally, and this other team swore up and down after the match that one of us had been using this hacks, and 90% of us, 99% of us, pretty much just this one guy, were local, knew each other personally, and we're like, no, none of us, we're all here, but we were playing on Net Cafe, so we're like, oh crap, did someone come in here and download one of these hacks or something on the computer? And finally we got this guy to confess that he had that, and how they could detect it was because it would show the file sizes of each player if you had control of the server, and so they saw that he had these file sizes that were incorrect, and so it seems like it would be something pretty easy to detect.
Well, I hope they do. There, like I said, there's a video on YouTube of someone using it, and
well, that's what I'm wondering. Did he?
It could be on a private server with back disabled, but he claims in the video that Valve cannot detect it, whatever he's doing. I don't know if that's true or not, but there it is.
And while I was looking for all the hacks, I did see something really funny. And if you can find this, it's kind of hilarious. Basically, all the red and the blue guys made heavies, and they all stood in a long line on the train tracks and waited for the train to come through.
Nice, that's awesome.
And it was hilarious. I mean, just all of them.
I'd prefer it if it was a bunch of spies, but
Okay, last funny point for on the loudspeaker.
Halloween costumes. Well, basically, there's not really much to say about that other than we're going to post a link to those. There's maybe 6 different sets of of people did the full costume.
Yeah, they were actually all game developers on that link that you've got there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. There's red. A lot of the teams are either red or blue. The last one that we posted last week, I think that was just red, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's some really creative stuff there. Is that it for the briefcase?
I think that's all we got. Yeah.
Or whatever we call it.
Loudspeaker.
On the loudspeaker.
on the loud briefcase.
Spies sapping my briefcase.
Okay, who wants to handle the dossier?
The dossier today is the engineer. All right, take it away, Wes.
Oh, come on. Come on. Medic I enjoyed.
You're so good at
I've
it.
got a sore
You love
throat,
the engineer.
Okay, I'll talk about the engineer. Engineer, as if you've played the game at all, you know the basic idea behind the engineer is the ability to build structures. The engineer has 5 weapons, starting off with they have a shotgun, which is their secondary weapon. They have a pistol, which I learned this week in looking for the hacks. People were talking about aimbots, and all the guns in Team Fortress miss by a little bit.
Yep.
And that prevents aimbots from being able to make everybody dead-eye dick.
That's been pretty standard for several years now.
Well, I've been frustrated because I'll take out the pistol and go bang, bang, bang. And I'll be like, how can I miss him? He's right there. I got the dot right on his head.
Still better at range than a shotgun.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Scout's got the best, right?
So we've got... Does he really?
I think, the Scout has the best, where it has the best aim.
Oh.
Less scatter range.
Did not know that.
Well, besides sniper, but anyway.
Anyway, so in addition to those 2 weapons, the engineer has a monkey wrench, which is a melee weapon, believe it or not. But at the same time, it can be used to repair things. And then there are 2 more, which are the build and destroy items on the engineer menu. When you're building, you have the ability to build one of 4 things, and you need metal in order to be able to build these items. Each item has a minimum metal requirement. You can get metal from a few places. First off, if there are a lot of dead bodies on the ground, you can just run around and you run over their guns that have fallen on the ground and you collect metal. The second way is any respawn point or
resupply cabinet, or whatever.
A resupply cabinet, or the little boxes of ammunition. Boxes of ammunition have metal in them as well, and you can run over those. And then lastly, if you have a dispenser, dispensers generate an amount of metal slowly. And you can let it build up and then go get it at 40 a push, or you can stand next to it and wait for it to slowly recharge you.
Basically, anything that would give you ammunition also gives you metal.
So you're able to build 4 items. The first is a sentry gun. This is a motion activated, well, not even motion activated, a sensing gun that targets an individual. And there are 3 levels for these guns. First is a single fire sentry gun.
Kind of a slow rate.
Yes, it has a slow single fire rate.
And it takes less time to sap it.
Does it really?
Yeah, has less hit points.
Oh, wow.
right.
I didn't even think about that.
So I think it's 369 for a sapper to sap him.
Oh, wow.
I don't know the
even think about
times,
that.
but I did know it was longer.
But anyway, once you've built your sentry and paid your initial cost, you have a chance to upgrade that weapon twice. Each upgrade costs 200 metal, which is the max you can carry. The first upgrade puts a couple of chain guns on your sentry gun, and the next upgrade puts a little rocket launcher on top. So you essentially end up with a heavy and a soldier shooting out of your gun.
Yeah, and upgrading is very technical procedure too. You whack it with a monkey wrench.
One thing, another thing is if you've got
Called engineering.
if you have multiple engineers, one good strategy is for everyone to focus on one gun at once.
Two engineers that both have 200 metal, both whacking on a sentry gun can get it upgraded very quickly, all the way.
And I thought of that, what might be a good tactic, like if you're doing a clan match or whatever, if you had 3 people start off as engineer, and the guy who's going to stay engineer starts the gun, and the other guys and they complete it, in one
That's
whack.
very
And
good.
the other two guys switch back to whatever classes they want and head on.
That's a good point. Because all your structures, when you stop playing the engineer, all your structures will go away. But unlike the demo man whose stickies go away when he dies, as an engineer, your structures do not go away. So if you put up a sentry gun and then you get killed, it will still be there when you get back.
Well,
Unless
assuming
it's a
someone
spy.
doesn't kill it. Yeah.
There's nothing like getting your gun sapped right as you die, and you're just 12 seconds left, and there goes my gun.
Now, the monkey wrench is good for a few things. If you have metal and your sentry gun has taken some damage, or your dispenser has... Oh, well, I haven't gotten to dispensers yet. I'm still covering items. Why don't I talk about that? There are 3 other items that you can build. The first is a dispenser, and this is an indispensable frontline tool.
I know whose team I'm not playing on next time we play. I want to shoot you for that.
Anyway, the dispenser provides health, it provides metal, and it provides bullets to any people that are nearby.
And elevation. If you want to ride it to the top.
Yeah, we did talk about that last week.
Yeah.
Additionally, engineers are able to build teleporters. Now, the trick is you have an entry teleporter and an exit teleporter. And there's nothing worse than getting to the front lines, running halfway across the map, and discovering that you accidentally built your exit teleporter where the entry one should have been.
At least you can get back very easily.
Yeah, you can get
You
this.
just hop on your entry teleporter.
Hey, what a good
and
idea.
go-
I didn't really think about that.
Or destroy it and change it.
Yeah.
These teleporters are very important on some of the bigger maps.
And for God's sakes, when you build it, remember that when you're building a structure, you can use your right-click mouse to spin it. And you can spin it and place the items how you want. The teleporters actually have an arrow on the schematic that shows which way you will be exiting it. Don't have people going into walls and the wrong way. Have them going forward.
Yes.
The way they need to be going.
I tend to have it pointed right to where I put the spray.
This is actually something.
That's nice.
This is actually something on Spies that I wanted to bring up with teleporters. Everyone likes using teleporters because it gets you to the front quicker and gets you back in the action faster. But there are some classes that should not use teleporters, and the Spy is one of them.
Yeah.
The reason is when you use the teleporter, you have a glow at your feet of the color team whose teleporter you just used. So if you're on the blue team and disguised as a red soldier and use the blue team's teleporter, well, you've got this big nasty blue glow.
Blue.
Blue.
And you leave little sparklies too. It's like your
Yes.
little pixie. You get
So, congratulations, you got there faster, so now you can die more quickly.
Yeah.
And another class is every time I see a scout get on a teleporter,
Oh, that
I
drives
die
me
just a little
nuts.
bit
Oh,
inside.
You can get there so fast. Why are you using? Oh God!
Or especially
There's a
if they
heavy
wait
right
for
behind
it.
you.
I'm like, dude, you could have been there already.
And the reason that's frustrating is because there's a recharge on it.
Yes.
It takes about 15 seconds to fully recharge a teleporter. And let's say, a heavy and a scout have an option to get on a teleporter and reach the front lines. If the scout gets on, the heavy has to run because a lot of times it's going to be faster for them just to do that.
Now, have you noticed the collision that you can kind of push people a little bit around
Yes.
the items? I wonder if that's built in so, if there's a teleporter, maybe a soldier or a heavy weps could actually push a little scout off it.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'd like to try that out.
Well, you can always just kick ban the scout from the server.
Where was I?
Teleporters?
You were talking about engineers.
Yeah, I was. So teleporters. Now, the real trick, and this was part of my quest, is to figure out the best place to put your exit teleporters. Your goal is you want to put people near the front lines, but you don't want to just make something that's sitting there so they're going to get shot whenever they show up. A teleporter placement is actually, really, really important. And if you have some time for setup, I always recommend the first thing you do is you walk out of the resupply point, you drop down your entry teleporter, you walk back in,
Go right back in. Yeah.
and you get your metal to build whatever it is you're going to do later. Because once you get into the front lines, you can drop down the exit teleporter and have a way for people to get up there quickly, which, when you've got, 10, 15 second respawns, that few extra seconds you save can mean the difference.
In case you haven't noticed, there's a lot to talk about with the engineer, and there's a lot that you can learn. Proper placement of any of your devices, your sentry gun, your dispenser, or your teleporters is all something that really, you can have people give you tips. We've seen, wasn't there a website that says supposedly the best places to place a...
Yeah, it has pictures of good places on every map to put your sentry. We'll put a link.
Yeah, you can see that, but really until you actually get out there and start playing around with different spots, only then are you going to find places that really work for you. Some of those really popular places to put sentry guns, I don't like at all.
Yeah.
Just don't like them.
Balancing the strength of the engineer's AI-controlled sentry gun was one of the more difficult design problems in Team Fortress 2. If the gun was too powerful, only the most skilled players would be able to counteract it. If the gun was too weak, the engineer would have no chance against skilled players, effectively eliminating any reason to build it in the first place. Our solution was to make the sentry gun essentially binary in the sense that it's lethal to opponents who don't take cover, but can't intelligently deal with enemies popping in and out of cover. This forces the engineer to use his own secondary weapon skill to compensate for the sentry gun's corner weakness, while still making the sentry gun a formidable obstacle for any opponent simply attempting to sprint past it.
And also a big thing with placement is your gun isn't solo. You need to protect your gun just as much as anyone else. So it's going to be vulnerable without you. It just cannot lock on when something's popping back and forth, out from a corner. So you've got to be there to help out.
Yeah, this is something that Wes was talking about earlier, that we found more than one engineer sticking together are just so much more effective. If one gets killed, the other one can maintain all of the equipment. That's the thing. You can maintain any engineer's equipment so long as you've got your wrench.
Because what would happen is we'd get a spy running up to take us out, and the first thing the spy's going to do is start sapping our stuff, and then the next thing they're going to do is they're going to try to backstab us to keep us from repairing the things that they have sapped. Once that goes on, once they attack, as long as people are repairing stuff, then the other sentry gun will detect the attack and kill the spy. And then you're left with one engineer with two guns. He can take all the sappers and repair everything while the other engineer gets back.
That's a very important point. If you are alone and it's just you and your sentry gun and a spy sapping you, the most important thing is not to protect your sentry gun. The most important thing is to kill the spy.
And that might seem counterintuitive, but while that sapper is on the gun, or any other item for that matter, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So you're basically without a gun. Now, if the spy is just running around sapping things and running away, that's one thing. Getting your sentry gun back up and functional might be really, really important. But that's not what smart spies will do.
Yeah, Eric, you play a spy a lot. How do you handle sentry guns typically?
I do the drive-by. I usually do the drive-by and then wait for him to usually he'll come out and start shooting people at random, but it was a drive-by, so I ran away, and while he's trying to chase people down, the sentry gun is dying. But if he stands around and he ignores me, he'll just be hitting the thing with his wrench, and you can just sap it over and over. And the more times you sap it, the more points you get. So it's just stupid.
Well, but you have to destroy it to get points. They actually get points for stopping your sap.
Oh, right.
So you're like, you see their points going up.
Right.
Because, you keep sapping it over and over again because they're just clearing it off and you're not getting anything for that, right?
I thought you get a point for sapping and then another point for when it gets destroyed. See, I don't know for sure, so I don't want to say that's true.
Again, remember, as I said earlier, we will be wrong every once in a while.
But those are the two things I do. Either the engineer is going to chase me or run around and ignore his machinery, or he's going to ignore me and just, keep hitting his stuff.
And I've seen one pretty good tactic for engineers that seem to do is instead of like turning your back and pointing right at your gun to fix it, kind of sidle up to it where you're kind of hitting it on the side. And if a spy comes up and tries to sap it again, you can actually be hitting them at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get a critical wrench too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we got a tip on how to oh wait, no, we're not telling them to do that.
Yeah, they're and again, spies are a problem for every class. For engineers, they're especially difficult, just because they, again, in the old Team Fortress Classic, there really was no effective counter for a well placed sentry gun, but the spy having the sapping equipment is the answer for that.
You have three main enemies with your sentry gun. You have the spy, you have the soldier, and you have the heavy weapons guy.
What about the demo man?
Yes, and demo man. Sorry. So four.
What about the medic?
Shut up.
Who can make
I hate you.
his hypo needles fall and hit your turrets?
What about the scout that can run up and bat it and just keep running around it?
Y'all are just picking on me because I had a bad week as an engineer. Right? Okay, so the main things you need to focus on, the soldier is going to try to pop around the corner and hit you with that rocket. And what you're really, really hoping is that he is going to miss your sentry gun and he's going to stutter in his movements and your sentry gun is going to rip him a new one. With the heavy weapons guy, he's going to come up. For him to take out your weapon, he's going to need a medic on him. If he Ubers, you're probably going to lose your sentry gun. Might as well not stick around to try to heal it with an Ubered heavy round. The demo man is going to try to ricochet things off. Excuse me. He's going to try to take his grenades and knock them around the corner and have them detonate at the foot of your sentry gun. If you are standing there, you can repair it faster than his grenades can probably kill it.
Sticky bombs.
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. But the sticky bombs have a much more. They pack a lot more punch, and if one or two of those can get next to your sentry gun, it will be taken out. Happiness is if someone has found a place where they can throw a couple of sticky bombs near you, you need to go and shotgun them, because as soon as you kill that demo man, those sticky bombs are going to go away. And the last thing is the spy, and that is going to be what you're facing 80 to 90% of the time.
When an enemy team sees a sentry gun that they can't get around, they're going to send in spies. Every time.
And a teleporter is good bait for a spy because spies, unlike me, I know that trick. It's bait. I mean, if one of your teleporters gets sapped, then you're on the alert. Now you're going to be shooting everybody in the face with your shotgun. You've just given yourself away.
I spent a lot of time in Two Fort. Was it last night or anyway? First, we had a couple engineers, and we set up in the ramp room, which is usually a good place to start. But they were just too good at getting past those. So eventually, we retreated all the way to the intelligence room, and setting up a teleporter entrance and an exit in both of the hallways leading into the intelligence room does two things. One, it really confuses your teammates when they go in and use a teleporter and teleport to another hallway 5 feet away. Two, people can't help themselves. They see equipment and they shoot it. So as soon as that useless teleporter that I set up starts beeping and then blows up, I'm ready with my shotgun to shoot someone and bait them in to get killed by my...
it's just your alarm system.
Yeah, exactly.
Teleporters are also good if you put them directly in front of your sentry. Let's say you've got some kind of weapon that's shooting at your sentry. If you can put an extra little bit of cover there, which that teleporter will be, depending on the angle, you can soak up some of the damage that might be taken by your sentry gun.
I do that with dispensers as well, in addition to heavies. Just stand here.
Anybody else got anything?
There's another tactic that I like to use every once in a while, and it's the one where you don't ever really get your sentry up past level 2. It's the bait and switch. You wait till someone comes in, they get killed by your sentry, you destroy it, and you build it somewhere else. And you just keep changing that cycle, and they come in thinking it's one place, and they get shot in the head from behind because you just keep changing it. And you don't need a level 3 sentry to do that because they're not having time to blow it up, and it usually is going to do enough damage to kill them.
I bet if you have two what class are we talking about? Engineers working in tandem, you could do that really well, very quickly if they've got their stuff together.
And the Sentry Gun level 2 is good enough to take out any class except for some of the heavier things.
Yeah.
So any scout is going to be taken out by a second level Sentry Gun, period. Scouts can sometimes kill first level Sentry Guns if there's a corner and they're running around smart enough.
Mm-hmm. Now, sentry guns do have a secondary effect beyond damage, and that's every time you're hit with a bullet from a sentry gun, there's a very substantial push on that. So you're pushed back every time.
Another thing is you can use sentry guns for early warning. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll be guarding a particular doorway or something, and if I see my gun turn, then I know that there is an enemy in that direction. They do a standard little sweeping movement, but if the gun actually starts going and looks in another direction, you'll know, hey, I need to watch out. There's something going on behind me that I'm not paying attention to.
Well, so you think that's enough for an engineer for today?
Skimming over the list, always make sure that a lot of times what people will do is they'll build their sentry gun and their dispenser, and they'll put themselves behind it. It'll keep them constantly healed and give them the ability to repair their items. And it also puts your back to the wall so that spies can't get you, and it makes a little fortress.
I like doing that.
A lot of engineers will hang out in there, and especially in heavy combat zones, that's important.
Oh, now there is one here that we sort of skipped over, and it's very important. In sudden death, build the dispenser first.
There is no reason for a teleporter in sudden death.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I've heard so many people in voice comms go, what happened to the resupply cabinet? What's up? It's not opening it up. Well, you're in sudden death. Oh, I can't upgrade my sentry. Oh, dope.
Can I? I'd like to go back to Team Fortress Classic again for just a minute. A very popular engineer tactic there was setting up a dispenser next to something that would alert you when an enemy was there, like right next to the intelligence or a flag in that case. And in that, you could explode your dispenser and it would deal damage to the enemy team. It no longer does that. I tried that so many times.
Just a waste of ammo. Another tactic in placement, especially in like 2-Fort or in CTF matches, put your sentry right on the briefcase. And what this does is if a spy comes up and tries to sap your sentry, if they hit the briefcase, they are no longer, disguised, and your gun will blow them up in the face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it seems like a horrible place to put a gun because it's like the best place to get an angle on it. But most of the time you're dealing with spies.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And just a quick comment, if you can find a way to build next to a resupply cabinet, you're doing best, because you can just run back and get 200 metal every time. So in things like 2-Fort, when you're building on that upstairs platform, you can just, as soon as you throw down your sentry, run back, get more metal, come back, build your dispenser, run back, and you can just have an endless supply of metal there for you, and you can take care of your buildings just like that. Bam, bam, bam.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good engineer should.
I think that's all we got on engineer, really. Yeah. I'm sure we missed something.
Let us know.
Like we do. Yeah, let us know. Give us a call at our hotline, or just leave us a message on the webpage, or send us an email.
Yeah, and we'll get back to it next week. In fact, I guess right now would be a good time for to hear this tip about the medic. This came to us from Rob from Witty Wizard. This is the guy who makes WoW Machinima.
Yeah.
If you're not unfamiliar, or if you're not familiar with his stuff, he did, let's see.
I'm charging up my fireball.
He did Jimmy the Mage, Jimmy a World of Warcraft story, a bunch of really funny stuff. He has a pretty big following. Anyway, here's the tip.
Hey, Dead Workers Party, it's Rob from Witty Wizard. Just listened to your guys' medic podcast, and you guys forgot the most important medic tip ever. So I thought I'd just throw it by you guys real quick. The trick is, you see, the weakness to the medic heavy combo is turrets. So if you come up against a turret, just Ubering past it won't always work, because if you're at range, the turret will push you back. So the trick with a heavy medic combo when you're Ubering is the medic running in front. That way the medic takes the line of fire from the turret and the heavy can move forward. You do this and you're a champion at that game. Just thought I'd throw you guys that tip, and loved your podcast. Keep it up. Thanks a lot. See you guys.
Okay, and that's what he left for us. Did we miss this last week?
No, I think we discussed this. Discussed is too strong a word. We glossed over it. It got like 3 words, and I think Rob missed it.
I think Rob's not listening too well. I think he's going too fast. He's just too fast.
Yeah, he's got too much going on.
Are you saying he's listening faster than we're talking?
I think so.
Wow,
because he's fast.
So anyway, it's still a good tip if you did miss it last week. Even though we did say it, go back and listen, man.
He's a good guy. I guess, okay, here, I'll go ahead and mention this right now. What do you think about the Machinima?
Oh, yeah.
Rob is also collaborating with us to do our first TF2 Machinima, and this is going to be a funny little short. Rob has written it and did the dialogue for it, and what we're going to do on our side is we're going to film it and edit it and wrap it up. And it's a very, very funny little piece. Unfortunately, the SDK is still unavailable this week, so there's not going to be any fancy compositing of the characters or the player models. So it's going to all have to be done in game, which is fine. And we have a couple of ways that we're going to tackle this thing. And basically, there might be a better way to do this. Let me know if there is, but this is what I came up with. I'm going to be an observer, so I don't have a HUD to mess with, and I'm going to float around and be the cameraman. I'm going to communicate and direct all the actors in game through Vent, because the voice comm in game won't work. You can't communicate to a spectator. And
can't communicate between teams either, so that's probably for the best.
Right, that too, yeah. So we're gonna have people on red and blue as in the movie. So there needs to be opposing teams there, and we're gonna shoot it. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this. I'm still unable to compile a map. I've spent a lot of time in this in the Half-Life 2 SDK trying to get it to work. But what we really would love is for someone out there who can already make maps. Can you make us a big room, a cube, actually, a very well lit cube? It's kind of like outdoors, kind of, right? But this cube, the textures on the wall are green. Or lime green.
Or maybe even give us a true green for like a back wall, and maybe like a true blue for a floor. Do like a true red for the ceiling.
No, just give them...
Starting to get really complicated here, Brent.
Or maybe a couple cubes. Give us a blue. But anyway, so...
if you make one cube, you can make another.
Yeah, and since I can't get the model viewer to work, we can set up a green screen and just key out, the green and make everything work. I would just love it if I didn't get this DLL error every time I try to compile.
And, if you don't want to make it... just send Eric an email and tell him how to do it.
Yeah, please. Because, if not, this is the kind of story, this movie is very simple. It can easily be done in game. So, I mean, there's not really any kind of rush on that, but that's just kind of on my wish list. So if somebody out there knows how to do it, please help us.
Make Eric's wish come true. Yeah. And I believe that brings us to the end of another control point.
Is that it?
Do we want to? I think it's worth mentioning that we got before we end the show here, we did get some comments on iTunes. Thank you guys for those.
Yeah. Frugal15 is his username. I'm just mentioning his name. Actually, I guess his real name is Chris. He gave us our first review to be followed up by another person. So that's really cool. Keep those rolling in. That's
we
very
can
awesome.
always use more iTunes reviews. They're awesome.
Any kind of feedback, actually. Sometimes after we do this, I'll listen to the show and then I'll be super duper critical about, whatever I did. And then I'll go, well, how does that sound to other people? And we don't really have any feedback. So let us know. Mm-hmm. It helps us do the show. It helps us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And
send us MP3s if you'd like, for little tips or little anything that you want to contribute to the show. You can send us MP3s. You can even call us on the phone number. You can leave comments on our website, or even join up to be on our forums. I noticed, Brent, that you opened up forums on the site. That's pretty cool. You can join the what is it called? A community?
Yeah.
The Steam community.
Yeah, the Steam community control point.
But send us some segments. If you've got something that you think would be an interesting subject to talk about, even if it's like map building, or
especially if it's map building,
like that, or sprays, anything that you think would make a good segment, go ahead and just record an MP3 and send it to us, and you might be surprised, or you might not. You might know we want content.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I think once we get a few more people that join our community, I'm going to schedule some games for us all to play, the community to play, and I think I'm going to record the voice chat from it.
That'd be fun.
See if we get anything from that. So.
Nice.
That'd be cool. So once again, dig us, go to iTunes, go to our website, tf2.deadworkers.com, join us on our news server, call us at 256-513-4772, and have a wonderful week.
Spies sapping my sandwich.
You are now at the end of another episode of Control Point.
Victory.
Every one of you deserves a medal.
A podcast brought to you by the Dead Workers Party. See the show notes and leave comments for this episode at controlpoint.deadworkers.com, or leave us a voicemail at area code 256-513-4772.
Auf Wiedersehen!